Welcome to Flashback, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. We begin on Monday when the Commissioner of Police Delta Command announced that a full-scale investigation into the death of a 19-month-old pupil, Obinna Odeze, has begun. The little boy was alleged to have been flogged to death by his teacher in Asaba, and the Delta State government also promised to follow the case to logical conclusion.
This is a school where the incident took place last week, and it is shut down by the state government. But early this morning, the Commissioner for Basic Education in the state is here with other members of his team. The school has been vandalized, perhaps by angry residents after the death. For the Delta State government, the clampdown on unregistered and substandard schools has been intensified with this latest development. There is, however, a provision for other pupils of the closed Arise and Shine school to be drafted to other registered schools here.
I send the children to one of the private schools has also volunteered that is going to take care of those children for this term.
Mr. Osai then visited the mother of the child, who tells us that her child just resumed schools 2 weeks ago before the incident. She seeks justice.
The people that actually held him, the people that did the thing himself, this children from the school said one auntie held the leg, the son of the proprietress held the hand, the woman was flogging. So there are three, but it's only two that is in the police detention. So one is missing.
She told me, Grandma, I said, he said, Obinna, auntie, uncle with big mommy tied Obinna's leg and his two hands. They were flogging Obinna like a goat. Obinna was shouting, crying, Mommy. Oh, God!
At the State Police Command headquarters, where the two suspects were paraded, the police commissioner says nothing will be left to chance.
What is left now is for police to open up full-blown investigation. And that is what we are doing precisely. Post-mortem examination will be carried out to ascertain, of course, the medical cause of death. But for now, as it were, it is alleged that it was a beating that killed the boy.
For now, the two suspects are still remanded in the police custody, awaiting trial after conclusion of investigation, which will include autopsy. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Asaba.
Well, also on Monday, the Academic Staff Union of Universities began a one-month warning strike over its disagreement with the federal government. And this was announced at a press briefing after the union rounded off its National Executive Council meeting in Lagos.
The president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities at a press conference explains the reason behind the decision to embark on an industrial action. According to him, it's to save Nigeria's university system considering the deteriorating state of the Nigerian universities.
Considering the government have failed to fully implement the memorandum of action signed with the Academic Staff Union of University on 23 December 2013, given that the draft report of the negotiation agreement has been submitted for finalization for more than 9 weeks, more than 9 works now, and noting that the forceful payment of ASUU number salary and emolument with integrated payroll and personnel management information system IPs, and non-adoption of the University Transparency and Academic Solution have continued to shortchange our members. NEC therefore resolved to embark on a 4-week rollover total and comprehensive strike beginning from Monday, 14th February 2022, which is today.
The demands of the lecturers are the sustainability of the university autonomy, which the union said the introduction of the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System (IPIS) for the payment of its emoluments violates. The union seek its replacement with its own University Transparency and Accountability Solution (UTAS). Other demands include the endorsement of the renegotiated 2009 ASUU FGN agreement, which it is said was concluded in May 2021. Release of the report of visitation panels to federal universities and distortions in salary payment challenges.
We work even on weekends. We work at night. For every lecture, you require no less than 3 hours of preparation.
Meanwhile, on Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari requested that the National Assembly approves 2.5 trillion naira for subsidy in an extra budget proposal to the lawmakers. The amended proposal contained in a 6-page letter sent to the House of Representatives earlier that day. In the letter, President Buhari asked the National Assembly to approve the sum of 2.557 trillion naira supplementary budget for petrol subsidy from July to December 2022. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, said the letter in their respective chambers. In the letter, President Buhari said the amendment was necessary to accommodate some issues in the country, including petroleum subsidy, which must be considered.
29 and clause 30, those in favor that the 2022 budget framework has been revised to fully provide for PMS subsidy, an additional provision of 2.557 trillion naira will be required to fund the petroleum subsidy in 2022. Consequently, the Federation account main pool revenue for the 3 tiers of government is projected to decline by 2 trillion naira, while federal government's share from the account is projected to reduce by 1.05 trillion naira. Therefore, the amount available to fund the federal government budget is projected to decline by 969.09 billion naira. Aggregate expenditure is projected to increase by 45.85 billion naira due to additional domestic debt service provision of 102.5 billion naira, net of the reductions in statutory transfers by 56.67 billion naira.
And still on that day, the federal government launched the National Emergency Medical Service and Ambulance System Program. And this initiative is meant to meet life-threatening medical situations and emergencies without financial cost imposed on the patient. The public signing of the Memorandum of Understanding and launch of the implementation manual book took place in the nation's capital.
Nigerians spend more than 70% of their income on out-of-pocket healthcare expenses, resulting in serious hardship for most households. The National Emergency Medical Service Ambulance System is expected to reduce this hardship by rendering medical assistance to all citizens at the point of care with no immediate out-of-pocket cost to the patient. NEMSAS is an arm of the third disbursement 5% gateway of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund for emergency medical treatment at a time of great distress to the patient.
This NEMSAS program is a missing link that strengthens the national health system by filling the gap of poor physical and financial access to healthcare at time of dire need.
We need to realize that it's an additional element to this big puzzle of serving health sector challenges in Nigeria.
Care must be appreciated as an entire system with independent components. These components include pre-hospital care, transportation, and hospital care. Each component is important, but all of them must work together to make a lasting effect on the health of a population.
The private-public partnership 24-hour service will help to limit the barriers to getting immediate health care and save lives during emergencies.
Our research department has discovered that over 70% of Nigerian women who are pregnant do not go to hospitals. They go to maternities and TBAs, where care is very poor.
The pilot phase of the roll-up program will begin in the Federal Capital Territory in the coming weeks.
And on Wednesday, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation apologized to Nigerians for the importation of toxic premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, into the country. It also regretted the damage done to the vehicles by the toxic petrol and the resultant scarcity and long queues at filling stations in various parts of the country. NNPC Group Managing Director Abba Kyari attended the apology at an interaction with the House of Reps ad hoc committee investigating the circumstances surrounding the importation of the adulterated fuel into the country.
In the last 2 weeks, getting petrol has been tasking for many Nigerians. Concerned lawmakers are trying to get to the bottom of what caused the horrible situation citizens have been subjected to in the past weeks.
The essence of today's gathering is to elucidate the current fuel scarcity, which has a negative impact on the people.
Nigeria's oil company fingers the importation of methanol-fueled fuel, which has since been quarantined. Abba Kyari says NNPC is injecting 2.1 billion litres of petrol to clear the queues in the next few days.
In the current situation, let me assure you, honorable members, that we have taken every necessary step to restore supply into this country. We have placed orders significant enough for us to cross into February, into March, with at least 2.1 billion litres of PMS in our custody. And the situation you are seeing today now, I can assure you that by next week it will vanish.
Questions rolled in from the lawmakers who lamented the hardships posed by the scarcity of the products on the people.
If we have an agreement, a service level agreement with this delivery company, and if we do, does it have instances of duty of care?
For the importers, it was not a requirement, the quantity was not a requirement. The quantity of methanol for blending was not a requirement. Is it that going forward, this will be taken on board?
We are faced with a situation where all Nigerians are suffering as a result of an oversight.
While he insists the controversial fuel was not adulterated, the NNPC chief apologizes to Nigerians.
So we are aware of this. We regret this situation, and of course it is completely unavoidable. We didn't see it coming. I apologize to Nigerians that we didn't see this coming.
The committee says it will be meeting with companies identified in the importation chain in the coming days in the course of its investigations. It also looks forward to the disappearance of queues in petrol stations.
Still on Wednesday, Minister of Education said he was surprised at the sudden decision of the Academic Staff Union of Universities to embark on strike despite ongoing engagements to resolve contentious issues between the union and the government. The minister said this at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. And the council also approved a national policy on a uniform internet domain to be used by all government institutions.
The federal government may still be reeling from the shock caused by the decision of the Academic Staff Union of Universities to down tools. The Minister of Education is surprised. He says renegotiations are ongoing and issues are being addressed, but it seems this time ASUU became impatient and resorted to using the comprehensive and total strike to pile pressure on the federal government to implement the memorandum of action it signed with the union in December 2020.
There is a solution. The negotiation that has been going on is the solution. And that is why I told you I'm so surprised that ASUU has gone on strike. They submitted a draft agreement which the ministry is looking at. The committee is looking at it. Immediately it finishes, the government will announce what it has accepted of that. Then suddenly I had them going on strike.
The Federal Executive Council seeks to reduce the recurring breakdown of trains and protect the critical transport infrastructure constructed with money sourced from external borrowing. The Minister of Transport disclosed that a memo to procure consumables for the maintenance and operations of the railway has been approved. In a memo submitted by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Isa Ali Pantami, the Federal Executive Council approved a new uniform internet domain to be used by all federal government institutions in the country. The national policy on the government's second-level domain will protect national security, secure cyberspace, and foster a sense of national identity.
Any official communications must be using
official email, and that email should not be a generic one. It must be .government.ng. What is most important is .ng. That .ng is our national identity.
On Thursday, the Police Service Commission suspended Assistant Commissioner of Police Sunday Ubwa and Assistant Superintendent of Police James Bauer from the exercise of powers and functions of their respective offices with effect of the 14th of February. Well, this comes following ongoing investigation of the cocaine deal involving a gang allegedly headed by DCP Abba Kyari. The two police officers were working under Abba Kyari in the intelligence response team of the Force Investigation and Intelligence Department of the Nigeria Police Force. In a statement, a spokesperson for the Commission, Ikechukwu Ani, said the Commission's decision was contained in a letter to the Inspector General of Police dated 16th of February 2022. It was signed by Justice Clara Ogumbi, a retired justice of the Supreme Court, and the chairman of the Police Service Commission, Musiliu Smith. The Commission also directed the Inspector General of Police to note that DCP Abba Kyari, who prior to his allegation was on suspension and should remain so until the conclusion of investigations. Well, on Friday, President Muhammadu Buhari made a strict order on ritual killers and those who take delight in attacking police officers, as that means tougher times await those involved in killing for ritual purposes and attackers of security personnel. The president had called for more severe punishment to be meted out on ritual killers and those responsible for attacks on police officers and stations across the country. The latest incidents of ritual killings and deadly attacks against on-duty policemen and ethno-minorities in Enugu, Imo, Abia, Zamfara and Ogun states had caused some level of unease across the country. In a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu said incidents of ritual killings, hate crimes and killing of law enforcement officers are aberrations. And the president also re-emphasized the need for all Nigerians to be their brother's keeper and should see an attack, be it verbal or physical, on anyone as an attack on the very essence that keeps a nation together. And finally, on the Friday, the petroleum tanker drivers arm of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers and the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners have shelved their planned strike. The planned industrial action was halted after a stakeholders meeting in Abuja, and the groups had threatened to go on strike over claims of a diversion of a 621 billion naira road fund provided by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and the government's failure to increase the freight rate for transporting petrol. The NNPC gave updates about the state of the road construction and rehabilitation projects under the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme and assured the stakeholders that the funding earmarked for the 21 critical roads will be applied for the intended purpose only. The NNPC, in a series of tweets on its official handle, also said the stakeholders will work together in monitoring the road construction.